So I wanted to show you this recruiting funnel so that you can use the technology that we have for marketing and sales. This is basically how to put this on autopilot. Like, you always need basically a funnel to get leads and sales coming in. And then as you're growing, because you're getting leads and sales coming in, you always need a funnel to have new recruits coming in. So here's basically how we set it up. You've got your job post. Let's say you post 3 different jobs. Then we're going to syndicate that post through, like an application tracker system. What they do is then they're going to push it out to like Indeed and Monster and ZipRecruiter and LinkedIn. So you can basically push it out to all of the job boards, right? A lot of people probably watching this have done this before. You know all of this. So forgive me for explaining this to the people that have never done this before. You create the job post in, let's say, Workable or something. It then shoots it out to all of the major job boards. If you wanted to keep a job running monthly on all of the major job boards, I think it's like something around like $1,500 to $2,500 a month or something like that. But you can decide on, honestly, Indeed is the big one. Monster, ZipRecruiter, you could just do that for much less and forget about all of the other 50 job boards that you could syndicate the post to. When somebody replies to your job post, usually what happens, you use that as your funnel to basically go through all of your recruits and, try to hire. However, we found this to be completely not a good idea. It's just really, really not good at what it does. What we do is we basically shoot it into our system, and then we basically build our own pipeline that makes sure that, number one, there's all sorts of different logic that comes in, right? So when somebody submits their resume, first we make sure they're qualified. We do that by asking people to do something that they never normally do, right? So if we ask them, let's say, to record a Loom video of them building out a workflow in high level or creating a multi-step zap, show us a media campaign that you've done in the last year where you've spent, let's say $100,000 a month. If we ask people to do that, 98% of those people will not actually record that. We make it so that if they do not submit that link, they are taken out of our job recruiting pipeline. Basically, everybody comes from Indeed and Monster and LinkedIn and Social and Upwork. They come into our pipeline. They are then automatically greeted with a series of messages that basically says, welcome, we got your application. Thank you for applying. As a next step, we'd like you to do this. Create a Loom video of you either building a workflow, and doesn't really matter, just something that shows that you actually know what you're doing and what you're talking about. If they do submit that link, they move to the next stage. If they do not submit that link within 14 days, they're automatically moved to the junk pile. So let's say then they do that, right? And all of a sudden now they're qualified. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of vet them a little bit. Our HR department will do this and just kind of vet them, make sure that they're not crazy, going through their socials and all of that, reading their replies, because the way that we structure our job interviews is that we ask really, I would say, tough questions, or questions that they have to really put a lot of thought into. And so we read the answers to those questions, and then they move on to the funnel, right? And then we'll give them some sort of a test. So like after they submit their Loom video, we might say, all right, so here's a task. The goal is to make sure that this happens when this happens. What technology are you going to use? How are you going to set it up, right? So we'll give them that test. If they are in any one stage for longer than 2 weeks, they are moved to the junk pile. After they pass this test, they go to the video stage where we basically say, hey, shoot us a video and just show us your personality. Tell us a little bit about your family, where you'd like to be in a year from now, what your goals are. After they've submitted that, they'll move on to the next. We might give them another task to do. Let's give this a trial run. Here's one task that you have, and then we'll give them another task. We make it really, really hard, because otherwise we end up with people that don't know what the hell they're doing. Every time they do it, they move forward, right? Or if they don't, they move to the junk pile. After this is the final step. Then if they do that, they've made it to an interview. At that point, they're sent our calendar, and they will basically be set up with an interview. Now, we have actually 2 different interviews that we do, but let's say they pass both interviews. At that point, they're going to be shuffled to HR and begin the onboarding, right? So they'll get their welcome letter, their letter of employment, a comp plan, if there is a comp plan. As long as they accept this, then they'll be shot paperwork to fill out all of their stuff. After they've shot out their paperwork back to us, at that point, it's go time. And we actually bring them to a portal where they can start watching videos videos about how we do all of our processes. So, and you guys can do the exact same thing. It's a little bit different, but when we set this up for HVAC or plumbing or, you know, electrical or roofing or solar or construction, it's a little bit different depending on like, you know, how your process is. But a lot of this can be digitized, and we're big fans of tests, videos, and tasks, because that weeds out the lazy people and the people that are actually willing to work hard. And at that point, then once you have somebody that's good to go, this is basically two different funnels, right? So it's like like an application funnel here. And then you also need the onboarding funnel that will walk them through basically getting onboarded into the company. So this makes it super easy to always have leads coming in, leads for technicians, salespeople, office managers, whatever it might be. And you can just kind of let it run and this system will take care of it. There's a little manual work that has to get done for this funnel. But I mean, if you have like your office manager, HR person, whoever does it, it's not that much. This takes away about 85% of the work. And more than that, what it does, and the biggest perk it does, is it gets rid of all of the junk so that you don't have to go through every single application. And it really walks them through a pretty arduous process. At least that's how we like to do it. That's the recruiting funnel. If you like it, let us know. If you have any questions, ask us questions. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye. Did I leave anything out before I close this out? How about I share my favorite books that I've done since I'm recording? I'm currently reading Steve Jobs' book. Honestly, I'm not super impressed with Steve Jobs just yet. I know it's kind of an asshole, like a pompous thing to say. It's just he's kind of a dickhead and he didn't really do anything. He didn't really do anything other than yell at people. So far, I'm only on page like 300 or something like that. Science of Getting Rich, amazing book. I just discovered Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes, like if you read his, I think it's like The Science of Mind is like his big one. The Science of Mind is super confusing. It's basically a philosophy book. But this one, Creative Mind and Success, is super awesome. Yeah, this is basically all about visioneering and stuff. I'm a huge visioneering fan. One day I'm gonna write a book about the law of attraction. I'm gonna get rid of all of the quantum physics that all of these mental scientists and like metaphysics people put into the law of attraction, because it doesn't actually require any quantum physics. It stands on its own if you take out all of that particle physics and trying to convince people through electrons and the ether and all the stuff that Einstein said, and I don't know. Anyway, this is completely irrelevant. It is not important. I am going to now stop this video because I'm out of things to say. All right, bye-bye.